For a married man to have a physical relationship with his wife is also celibacy.
We as a brand often get criticized for highlighting the power of semen.
Okay.
There is a movement called the NoFap movement, which is basically, it's a worldwide thing where a lot of men have decided to retain semen. Why?
Okay.
The Western perspective is that Muhammad Ali, Tesla, all these people used to retain semen and they felt benefits of it. My opinion on it is that when you combine semen retention with yoga, it's more beneficial. Like that's where the actual benefits of retaining semen come through. Please correct me if I'm wrong or if your opinion differs. I feel like retaining semen, that practice can become very frustrating, especially for a younger guy. When you're a teenager, you're full of hormones, your system isn't set yet. So maybe it's not even a practice for everyone. And in saying that, every single person who ever follows yoga, whoever follows any sort of spiritual path, always highlights the power of semen. And celibacy, even when you're talking about celibacy for women, staying away from sex is highlighted as a positive thing to help you on your yogic journey. Where do you want to begin this conversation?
From the last statement. That's because that's correct. So this is highlighted as a spiritual benefit. In my opinion, it is, and I mind you, my perspective of all that I'm saying is only from the spiritual perspective.
Sure.
Okay, not so. Outside of that context, why somebody wants to retain semen or why not, I have no interest and I don't even know. So I can't even comment on that movement. What is the goal and aim, etc. But there is a benefit to maintaining celibacy. But it should not be taken to the level that, okay, that is the final goal, that if I maintain celibacy, everything is going to fall in place. No, you are going to get complete nuts. You'll be crazy. There is a selective release and a selective celibacy that has to be combined together so that it works out. That is why our dharma, the Hindu dharma, says that there are 4 goals in the average person's life. Dharma is one of them, which is your sense of religion, righteousness, etc. Dharma, artha, which is your money that you earn or the prosperity. Kama, which is your lust and which is your desires and etc. And finally there is moksha. So if kama was something that you should be completely rejecting out of it, so if you without kama there is no life in the first place. Okay, so it is there. It is the only thing that they are talking about basically fundamentally is that like water, to give a simple example, like water, and like if that proverbial Newton's apple flows downwards because the gravity is going to pull you down and things like that, water flows from higher and to lower, etc. So if you indulge unrestricted in sexual activity, it is more or less going to pull your powers, energies down, and you will feel a lack of, as I said, very simply speaking, kind of tiredness. Mantra sadhana, any kind of spiritual practice at the initial stages has to make you a little bit more alert, energetic, less sleepy. In fact, one of the things that if you do a practice, it is when you are sleeping, that is when you are most unguarded, by the way. Okay. Initial stages. So higher level yogis actually, they try to transcend even sleep. Very high level. Again, these cannot be forced. So my viewpoint in celibacy is that do not even force it, but maintain a certain decorum and discipline in it. Don't run around everybody and everything that you feel like, having a relationship with. Not like that. Have a basic common sense idea of how much you can indulge and how much you do not. And this idea is, by the way, the way I'm describing it is not something very unique or something I have thought about. Our texts will tell you that for a married man to have a physical relationship with his wife is also celibacy. Nobody, not any point are we asking people that you leave everything and become a sannyasi.
Is there a specific text?
Oh, this is the general idea of celibacy. That if you are a married man in the Vedic system, why do you think the Vedic karma kanda rituals mandate that 90% of the rituals is barred for an individual who is not married? You cannot sit in a Vedic fire ritual, proper Vedic fire ritual, if you don't have legally married wife with you. You are barred from it. Doesn't matter how good your meditation is, how much yoga you can do, and etc., and how much brahmacharya you follow. You don't have a wife, you are not married, you cannot sit there.
Do some spiritual processes start only after marriage?
If you were to practice certain tantric upasanas, yes. But more or less, marriage is a very balancing thing, in my opinion. And it's helpful if your partner is also, of the spiritual bent of mind. I mean, obviously. But coming back,
what if she's not?
Then you're bad luck. There's nothing much I can say about that. So coming back to the point, but it is not to say that I'm not, again, not to misconstrue what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying that means that you have unrestricted physical relationships. No, celibacy has its utility also. It builds up certain power during that limited phase of time when you are following it. So my recommendation to people who are actually in the path of any kind of spiritual practice is that and I deal more with people who are into the worship of deities, the tantric tantra sadhana, mantra sadhana, using mantras, tantras, the puja paddhati. So suppose you are into an anusthana of a deity. So you make a sankalpa or a promise to a deity for 10 days or 15 days or 21 days. So you follow a limited period of celibacy. During that time, the only reason is that when you follow celibacy and you do that practice, it helps building up power inside you. However, power is only useful if you have the capacity to digest it. If you don't digest it, one of the other things that happens, for example, you start doing a lot of mantra sadhana of any deity suddenly, with no practice beforehand, you start 4-5 hours of mantra japa today. The first thing that you are going to see after some days is the tremendous increase in lust, tremendous increase in anger. These are the two leaks through which the power is going to get out of you, because your system simply does not have the capacity to absorb it. You can eat only that much food, as much as your stomach can digest. Other things are going to get vomited out. This is the spiritual vomiting that happens. You will end up having all sorts of, running around everybody, physical relationships unrestricted, and then anger unrestricted, these two things. The balancing, how much of a spiritual power a particular individual can take through the practice, and how much of a physical relationship or an anger, by the way, is equally dangerous. It just, in a second, your power, whatever you have accumulated, is also going to go out. This is where the role of a mentor, a guru, is so important, because you will take a lot of time to figure out that what is it that works for you. A good mentor, a good guru who can handhold you, and I'm not saying, and I don't mean that, there are many organizations where you go and there are 1,000 people getting an initiation, and then after that for 10 years you have no clue where your guru is and where you are sitting at home and doing practice. No, I mean somebody who actually handholds and guides you step by step, sort of, at least, and tells you that what to do and what not to do. So there is no idea like this initially, and it should not even be encouraged that right now from this age become completely celibate, forget everything, and it is going to make you some spiritual superstar. Nothing of that sort is going to happen.
What do you think of masturbation?
Same principle that happens in celibacy. Same principle. So if somebody is masturbating and he's practicing some spiritual, same thing. There's a leakage of energy that is going to happen. So whatever I talked about right now in the course of a physical relationship, etc., remove the word physical relationship, add masturbation. Same thing. There's no difference. It is not going to make any other good or bad or anything. And I'm not talking even from a moralistic perspective. I don't care what anybody does in their privacy. But unrestricted, yes, definitely it is going to interfere with your process, with your sadhana at a higher stage. And one of the biggest disadvantages of unrestricted sexual encounters, or masturbation for that matter, is that, as I say, in the peak point of concentration, you should be like this. When you are sitting for your japa or yoga or meditation or whatever, at that peak moment, you should be able to forget the whole world. Even if that is for 2 seconds, then it is working for you. What happens with unrestricted, either whether physical encounters, unrestricted sexual encounters, or excessive masturbation, is that it is at that peak moment that your chitta, which is the, kind of the mind that has impressions, it is going to throw up all sorts of images, and immediately it is going to break your concentration. Very minor thing, but your practice is already gone. You can pretend to the outside world that you are a great yogi and you are doing a lot of practice, but inside your practice is not working. So that is the problem. On the other hand, if you completely say that, from today, no physical, no sex, no masturbation, no nothing, you have to become, I don't know what, 2 days you'll go crazy. Neither is mantra is going to work, neither the practice is going to work, neither this is going to work. So that balancing is important. And we live in that kind of an age where to sell a toothpaste, you have to put 2 skimpily clad women on the advertisement. Where is your celibacy going to come from?
The society we live in stimulates us to shoot a load off.
That is where you have to maintain that common sense, use common sense and balance. And no point in the spiritual journey are you to give up your common sense. You will end up becoming a fool.
Yeah. Also, I mean, this is just a personal thought here, not learned from a book, probably learned from experiences. My thought is that if a spiritual truth does not make sense to you and your subjective reality, no one's asking you to accept it.
Yeah.
So if this is against your thoughts, don't accept it.
And I'm not even judgmental of people who say, by the way, just because I'm sure that a lot of people will see that there may be traditional people who have celibacy, they put it to a very high pedestal. I'm not being judgmental and all that. You do whatever you think is right for you. But if you're asking me, this is how you should approach in this age initially. And the impulse, celibacy comes naturally, by the way.
Yeah, that I was just like literally a second before you said that, I was thinking about the same thought, that your libido, if you're involved in a yogic life, a spiritual life, a tantric life,
Yes.
Your lust settles down without any effort.
Yes. After a certain point of time, it will settle. There are, since we are on the topic, there are two other factors, by the way, you have to remember
Sure.
here. I think yesterday we were discussing about Pitrus, ancestors who are stuck in a Pitru Loka, who are not able to move forward. Very often, in many cases, an excessive amount of lust in an individual, whereas they may be practicing everything well, is basically a projection of the impulses of those Pitrus. And if it is the case, that can be analyzed through various looking at the configuration of the planets at the time they're born and various other ways of finding out. That is the case, then the only way is to actually perform rituals in the right kshetra, the right place, so that the ancestors get reborn, and then it causes, you define it in whatever way you want, but then it has an effect that slowly, that libido or that excessive amount of, so normal lust is one thing, normal lust everybody has, but it goes beyond everything, all rationality, etc. Then it also comes down, things calm down a bit. That is one. The other is with age also libido kind of can taper off. For a person who is genuinely spiritual, yes, that is what is happening. For somebody who is not in the spiritual path, it's up to them. I mean, I have no judgment on what they are doing or not doing. It's completely their life, their choice. Yeah. But spiritually, this... so Pitrus are one of the things, by the way. That is there in quite a few cases. I've seen people who face sudden bursts of, whether it's excessive amount of lust or whether it's excessive anger or certain... and that also manifests as certain blockages in life in various stages, etc. Those go off only when the Pitrus, something is done to placate those Pitrus. Okay. And if that is there, if there's a normal amount of lust, then to look at it as a manageable thing. The other problem that happens, it tapers off of it on its own. It will in time. Okay. Don't make it as a big thing in your head. That's the other problem that happens with a lot of spiritual people. I am not able to get out of lust, so you feel guilty about it. That is far worse than actually, indulging in physical relationship, sex or masturbation or anything. After that, the guilt trip that happens to some people, that I could not maintain celibacy, that is not going to help you. That is far worse.
New clips released at the same time that a podcast releases. This is TRS Clips. Make sure you subscribe.